Hello, my name is Veronica and welcome into the Learning Lab. And in today's lab, I'd like to do some card sharing with you. So come on in and let's get started. As I have previously stated, I've been doing a lot of binge watching of television, but actually these were all done probably a few years ago. When I am demoing for my videos and things that I create and make, I don't throw them away. Once I shut the camera off, I just keep going and make as many as I can. I put them away in my container because I'm a container girl. When I am pressed for time or when I have a lot of time, I can sit and be really creative with my makes. And what I'm going to share with you now is just an example of some of those. So we'll start with this little cute fairy card that I created. This was a set of, I think, Inkadinka stamps that I purchased. I cannot recall, but they are the absolute cutest fairy stamps. Now, when creating this card, I actually didn't have this all going on at the same time. This actually came at different times. These leaves I stamped eons ago. I think it was when I first got my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, and I just started stamping and coloring, trying to practice. And as I was going through my containers of ideas, I came across these, decided to pull them out to see what I could do with them. In the meantime, I had also stamped and colored a ton of fairies. And so I actually came across together and married the two. So for the card base that these are sitting on, I did create a template for myself for the slider card, and I went in and just used some 6x6 card that I had because I wanted this to be quick and I didn't want to do a lot of cutting. So my base, this one, stayed at 6x6. I have a ton of 6x6 papers. And then my matte layer was, I cut it off by a half. And then I showed where I did the cut lines to get everything in. And then for my liner and attaching the pull. Now, you've seen me do this before where I have used a die and put the rubber there to stop it from cutting all the way up. So you can do that to get your sliding mechanism. Okay, so this one that I did, I just used some die cuts that I had. These leaves came from the name of the company just flew out of my head, and I love them. Heartfelt Creations. These came from Heartfelt Creations. I cut them out on my Scan and Cut, and these are just flowers that I ordered. Now, the little statements that you see on the inside, I ordered a lot of them off AliExpress. Ordered tons of the white and one pack of the black. So when I was ready, I just pulled out my alcohol markers and I just colored the tips, the colors that I needed them to be to complement the flower and the fairy. So if you order white or cream and you have alcohol markers or some alcohol inks, that's going to give you limitless opportunities to create the color that you want. But I just think this turned out beautifully. On this one, I have not put a message in there yet, but I will do that. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and continue to share all the cards that I created. The pearls on the bottom of this one were white, and I colored those in again with alcohol markers. And these are just some stick-on gems that came from the Dollar Tree. The pull here, and actually this one I did go ahead and put a thank you under there, and that was, what's the name of the company again? I can't recall it. And on this one, I have already put in a thank you. And because it's flat, this slides right over the top. And then you also have this back portion where you pull, where you can You also have the back portion that you pull up where you can write your message. And this pull here came from Amazing Grace, one of their stamp sets. Again, I did the same thing down here with the rhinestones. They were white and I colored them in green using my alcohol markers. And I love these. Whoops, that doesn't go there. I think I was playing around with whether or not I should use that. Let's remove it. But again, it's ready for my message. And if you do any of the journaling cards or those that have messages on them, and it can slide up, and right in there is my message. They will glue perfectly right there at the bottom, and this is beautiful. I had a lot of fun just putting these together. Now on this one, my fairy changed a little bit. This is a set that I got in a magazine. Again, these were pre-colored, and when I went in trying to match them up, I just tried to pull out whatever colors I could from there to put them onto here. And the leaves in this background are a set from Martha Stewart. And these are some Prima flowers that I've stacked up along with some other assortment of flowers I had from my QVC days. And just did some layering. I tried to limit myself on what I use. So you're going to see this white piece, which is a Doris one, and this little leaf is going to show up in a lot of them. And I just limited myself to this Spellbinders oval scallop set. Here's another one. And this butterfly, if it looks familiar, it's because it's from a set that I was working on from Crafter's Companion, I think it was, that I cut apart some of it. And as you can see, it has wound up on this card. And there's another one of the fairies that came in that magazine set. And I think I only put a word on one of them. As you can see, I'm not the shabby chic, soft muted colors girls. I'm more of an in-your-face color when I'm doing this. And this blue is just magnificent. Again, down here, I colored in those rhinestones. And I'm not so concerned about whether my leaves meet some kind of standard. Doesn't matter. This is where I was practicing, and I didn't want to throw it all away, and I kept them. And so it's really the background to the fairies in the foreground. And now one thing I did was I inked around the edges with my Tim Holtz Distress inks. And then the last one I put together was this one. And I think it's beautiful because I had a little yellow and orange in her wings. I thought, well, I can pull some in down here. Plus, it gives it a pop of color to it and helps to offset some of that blue that's around there. And these, again, were just some of the Jot ones. Actually, I have those nearby. They look like that. And this, this is my color palette. These are the colors I like working in. So when I'm doing my reds and greens and blues and purples, I know I'm going to have something to match it because those are the colors that I like. So let's look at what my base background was before I layered everything on. So I started out with something like this. I just had the card where I had stamped some of these ferns and just colored them in. And that's all I had, and the rest of the card was white. Then I went into my fairies that I had colored, and again, I know my palette. So she matched this perfectly. I haven't decided how I want to put these together. I may do a Z-fold card on these, but that was how I worked on doing my background. I'd done a ton of those with the script and with the dot, and because I had so many more than I thought I did, I went ahead and pulled out an additional stamp. It was not necessarily a background stamp, and I just started putting in just a little bit, but I'll build it up with flowers, and again, she is just going to sit there perfectly. This was one that I had pulled out. It's really bold, so a lot of that will end up getting covered up. That was one that I had initially chosen, and I didn't wipe off enough ink, and I thought it was too bold for the soft look that I wanted, so I only used it on that one. I know my color palettes. She's going to be perfect on here. And then here's one that I did that I thought, oh, she's going to lovingly grace the cover of this. Now, to show you how interchangeable these are, here is another fairy that I created. Her purple is a little different, but I think once I put some flowers and different things on here, here is another option for my little purple girl. Some of you may recognize this paper, but I mean, wow. And then here's another green background I had done. I'd cut up one of these little doilies. Haven't decided yet exactly what I want to do with it, but again, all of these are on ovals because that's the one set that I pulled out to use to go with this. And so here's another little green girl, and she will fit on there perfectly. Put some flowers around her. I've got a card ready to go. So when I'm sitting down coloring in, and I'm actually indulging in Queen Gambit right now. It's actually really good. So if you've not seen that, you might want to check it out. I also had recommended to me This Is Us. So I will probably start on that one next. But I just sit and watch a good movie, and I just color. And so some of these will end up on my blog. This is fun. I am having a great time when I am doing these and putting them together. This fairy is so cute. But I just wanted to come in and share with you what I've been working on and using up supplies. So I will be sending these out to friends of mine who are divas in disguise with a nice little message hidden underneath for them to let them know how much I love and appreciate them. As always, thank you for joining me in the Learning Lab. Please be sure to check out my blog at inkallusions.blogspot.com. Until then.